And tonight on PM Express, a conversation about claims made by witnesses versus Dr. Dampare's fight back in the ongoing probe into the leaked tape containing an alleged plot to oust the IGP. Today, the IGP himself, almost in tears, rejected assertions by COP Alex Mensah that he is the worst IGP Ghana has ever had. But more profound is the IGP's preliminary comments expressing grief that he had to come before the committee to defend unfounded and baseless allegations. But why is the IGP having to appear before a committee probing a matter against him? Because people say it is outside the terms of reference of the ad hoc committee. Let's look at the terms of reference of this ad hoc committee. One is to investigate the authenticity of the leaked audio recording. Two is to investigate the conspiracy to remove the current IGP. Three, investigate any other matter contained in the audio recording, and then recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate, and make recommendations for reforms where necessary. Now, according to George Akuffo Dampare, who is the IGP, he says that for him, for the 31 years that he has been in the service, okay, so this is the allegation that Dr. Akuffo Dampare responded today. COP Judge Alex Mensah has been making some allegations. He said for the 31 years being in the service, he says the IGP is the worst ever. The current Inspector General of Police is not managing police service well, and he says he has gagged the police officers, including the Public Affairs Director. And this is the response that the IGP gave. He says, I think probably my brother wanted to say I'm the best, and he missed it because the records are there for everybody to see. We committed ourselves to transforming the organization to become the best institution in the country and a reference point for Africa. Now, look at the comments of COP Asari, and this is the checks that we at Joy News did. So he says the IGP has gagged police officers, including the Public Affairs Director. It turns out to be true, actually, because if you look at what our check says, it says police communication has been centralized. Information is not released until it goes through headquarters. So, like, if in terms of media blackout, that is what we can say from our side of the from the media point of view. That, this whole year, I don't remember actually speaking to the police on any matter affecting the police or affecting security. The only thing we get, once in a while, statements coming from there. But, when you really need information, it becomes difficult. So, well, that is what we found. Now, he says those wild allegations are without shred of evidence, and I've brought a lot of pain to myself, my family. That's the response from the IGP. And he says, I cannot determine the outcome of elections. I have no working relationship with Mr. Bugri Nabu. You remember one of the allegations is whether he's been in contact with the man. He says, yes, I have been in contact, but I don't have a working relationship with this man. So those are some of the issues that came up. Now, if you want to know what next for the committee probing this matter, National Security Minister Kandapa will appear before the committee on September 13, and we also expect Bugri Nabu to also appear before the committee. Tonight, we're probing the two sides, the claims made by witnesses versus IGP Dampare's fight back. When I return from the break, I'll be introducing to you my guests. I have Emmanuel Habuka Bombande. He's a security expert. Let me actually introduce them. He is also a senior UN mediation advisor. Franklin Kujo will also be joining us. He's a president, Imani Center for Policy and Education. And I would also be joined by after this break.
There are days when you think, whoa, today I've earned it. So order a Glovo. Days when plans run longer. What if we order a Glovo? Or days when you can't control everything. Oh yes, because on Glovo, you can order anything you want. Glovo, you order, we deliver.
Crazy pa. Don't say no me.
Whiskey.
Wash. All of a sudden, my voice I hear different. And when you try a call. Barman, bring me the honey whiskey. You know the one? Black Rock Whiskey.
Honey whiskey.
Chalet, honey near their frau. Black Rock Whiskey is strong. Now so taste me is smooth and it goes down easy. Excuse me.
Barman.
Barman, bring my friend one Black Rock Whiskey.
Black Rock Whiskey, blended with natural honey flavor.
Hey, what's up?
Barman.
Hey, what the hell for Sikanton Sada? The beer been to man, no. Oh.
Black Rock Whiskey can be the feeling smooth, national.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age and not recommended for pregnant women. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey!
Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
About 1/3 of a million people live with HIV in Ghana. Close to 10,000 of them die each year, mostly as a result of a lack of antiretroviral drugs and adherence. In fact, close to 57% of children under 14 years living with HIV do not receive antiretroviral drugs, again as a result of inadequate funds to provide them with medication.
Life expectancy for these children is grim. The big worry, close to 16,300 people are newly infected with HIV each year. With this alarming rate of HIV infections, all of us are in danger, and Ghana is headed for an epidemic explosion if nothing is done now to avert it. While the Ghana AIDS Commission is working hard to overturn the situation, the Commission urgently needs funding support from corporate Ghana and individuals to save lives. We're therefore appealing to you, corporate entities and individuals, to support the National HIV and AIDS Fund by dialing *9898# on MTN and Vodafone and follow the prompts, or pay into the National HIV and AIDS Fund account number 101-863-161-3233, Bank of Ghana. Your donation will be used to prevent new infections and provide care for people living with HIV, including children affected by AIDS. For further information, please call Ghana AIDS Commission on 0302 919260 or email info@ghanaids.gov.gh. Give to save a life today. Ghana AIDS Commission, partnering to eliminate HIV and AIDS.
Hello, my name is Abeku Agri Santana. If there's anything that makes my life so easy, it is my bank. I love hanging out with my boys at our usual fufu joint. But even without cash, we still dey chop better with EcoBank Mobile. No matter the time of day, my bank helps me stay in touch with my beautiful wife whenever she's away. And when my beautiful wife is in town, She never misses out on her favorite TV shows because I'm able to pay up all my TV subscriptions from the comfort of my mobile phone. Whenever she has to get groceries too, my bank makes it cashless and convenient. And the part my wife loves the most is when my bank makes it possible and easy for her to shop from any part of the world without moving.
Welcome to the smart world of EcoBank. Download EcoBank Mobile from Google Play Store or the App Store and discover the smart way to bank. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello there. To provide timely information and to explain educational reforms and to discuss school models and interventions, the Ministry of Education, in partnership with the Teacher Education Journal, presents to you the first ever education TV talk show, the Edu Talk Show. The Edu Talk Show keeps you informed and updated on trends in the world of education.
The Ghanaian teacher is so versatile. Provide him the opportunity, train him, and that teacher will perform wonders.
Where are the women? They're doing very well academically, but they're not in the sciences and all of that. So technology is missing a lot more women that they could have had.
You need to tell the parents, at the moment, what you're getting is covering only an aspect of your child's education. And therefore, it's very difficult for you to make any decision with the limited information you have.
We still have more to do when it comes to safe school.
So join us as we speak to our guests on reforms taking place in Ghana's education sector. My name is Blessed Sogan, and I am your host.
Welcome back to PM Express. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're being sponsored by Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we are going to occupy them ourselves. Syntex Tank, it is strong, it is tough. We're also sponsored by Alomo Bitters, experience greatness in every moment, and Ghana AIDS Commission. Now, if you want no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank is first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank is first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana. We now introduce to you the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and size of preference. Syntex Tanks gives you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption size of project or demand, choose Syntex Tank. We have agents nationwide. Call 0244 335 168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. Cherry Tree desires wishes. Beauty is a promise of happiness, but passion is everything. Thinking about buying a new home? Talk to those who build with passion. And Sloan Square, a new gated community development at Sakumono, developed by Cherry Tree Properties, one of a kind, well-planned luxury you've never experienced. Contact them on 0553 662 366. Cherry Tree Properties, sophistication and class. Right, so those are our sponsors on PM Express, and I did introduce to you that our conversation is about the responses we've had from the IGP this evening, the whole of today, and also with the the claims that have been made by the witnesses. And I've been joined by Mr. Bombande, by Mr. Adam Bona, and Mr. Franklin Kujo. Welcome to PM Express, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Mr. Bombande, and I want to start with the invitation of the IGP to respond to something he describes as unfounded and baseless. What are your thoughts on this? Should he actually be a witness in the cause at hand?
Thank you so much for the invitation, and good evening to all the viewers of Joy News. Let me put it this way. I'm happy that he accepted the invitation because he is laying the pathway for the democratization of the police space that allows accountability to happen, in which the IGP is speaking directly to the people who are the sovereign, if you call it, stakeholders of Ghana's democracy, its security, its welfare. And in that regard, I appreciate his acceptance. But that marks this IGP. So I want to make my main point. But it is important for people like us to underscore that when people say that this IGP is the worst IGP, people like us respond in contributing to a panel discussion like this by suggesting that he will go down in history as the best IGP we ever had. And I think that is important. But the main response, which is very brief from me, is this. I don't think we should simply reduce it to IGP Dampare responding to allegations. We must put into context that those allegations were being made in a toxic environment of political fanatism, in which the allegations in themselves was a complot or a conjecture or a machination. Because if they were done publicly, then you can describe them as an allegation that the IGP is responding to. But not only were they allegations, but there were allegations that were done in a way that is corrosive of the internal capacities and resilience of the Ghana Police Service. And that is why I appreciate that he came to the parliamentary committee of inquiry, so that he's not just responding to the allegations, but he's helping to heal the damage, the corrosion in which people can meet and conjecture and plan and conspire, which then in itself is very unhealthy. It reduces the credibility of the Ghana Police Service, and it makes people to doubt, how can we all be protected by a police service in which amongst them some will choose this path of trying to undermine their seniors. This is the way out. These are my initial perspectives.
Those making the case that the IGP shouldn't have been part of this probe being too petty?
I think those who make that argument go back to the old conservative days of security being a myth.
That's actually going to Mr. Franklin Cudjoe, Mr. Bombande.
Well, but that is, I saw Franklin Cudjoe's comment, but he did not make the comment the way it is being relayed. Franklin Cudjoe was talking about certain aspects that would compromise police operation in terms of their confidentiality. And that is why if you segregate, it is good that those aspects are being talked about privately in what they call in-camera sessions.
Mr. Franklin Cudjoe is with us right now. Mr. Franklin Cudjoe, can you address this for me, please?
Well, good evening, Doc. Good evening, Adam. First of all, I mean, I'm happy that this conversation has been had. Indeed, I was one of those who initially did suggest that the IGP being called to come and answer questions was quite frankly, for me, quite unnecessary, especially because the terms of reference, as far as the terms of reference go, the gentleman who made all these wild allegations had actually accepted that, well, yes, their voices were on the tape and that they made those very, lack of a better word, dastardly concocted allegations. And so for me, the work of the committee was already cut out, and I thought that it was pretty much done, really.
But chairman of the committee has explained that, I mean, as and when it's necessary to bring in whoever the committee deems fit to assist with investigation, they ought to do that.
Well, upon hindsight, though, I think that I'm willing to walk back my words and then say that maybe what we saw today was exactly what the police service actually needed, right? To think that the IG, and of course, I have no doubt that the IG Dampare was definitely going to answer questions that was going to be posed to him in whatever capacity. But of course, today's demonstration or today's discussions, if you like, open conversations about the police service. Even before that, his persona, his personality, his pedigree, all of that heralding the rather very rich explanation of what police service has come to mean for many people, was quite frankly, I mean, a huge lesson in humility, a huge lesson in diplomacy, a huge lesson in what I call, well, the word is not coming, but essentially, it was one of those institutions that you'd have thought that when people decide to have alternate views, there were avenues for them to express them. And to that extent, there was a certain level of democratic centralism within the police service, which I'm sure if the gentlemen had exhausted of all the steps that they had in order to air their views, they wouldn't be treated the way they were treated today. I mean, I looked at them forlornly today, and I could tell that, of course, irrespective of what will happen later, I mean, today felt like the F opening for them to be swallowed. Because clearly, you saw the spirit, the core that greeted the police, the police that came, the IG, constantly referring to the team, constantly referring to the things that the police service have done since it's upon.
Right, so that's Franklin Cudjoe there. He was
very difficult. Yeah, so it made it very difficult for people watching. Even if it was a class act, it was perfectly executed. But you couldn't tell it was just an act. These were real conversations about policing that were being had that we've never ever seen before. And so to that extent, I'm able to walk back some of my words and say, well, look, we did have a show. And that show demonstrated that truly the gentleman deserved the post, he deserves the position, and he deserves the team that he works with. Maybe if the three gentlemen decide to, with penitence in their hearts, who knows? He might probably get the place, of course. But those are just those are not within my realms to ascertain. But I'm sure that I mean, with time, would come full circle and appreciate that today's exercise was a lesson, as I said, in humility and unique policing as never seen before.
What would you say to those who say that there are integrity issues to be dealt with by the IGP after hearing him today? I mean, especially the bit about his encounter with Bugri Nabu and all the allegations coming from those quarters.
Well, if there was any shred of doubt about the integrity of the IG today, it was all put to rest. I mean, I don't know who probably in his really sound mind will still be questioning the IGP's integrity as far as the allegations go. As far as the conversation about Mr. Nabu's involvement, I mean, he treated it as such. I mean, the police service must be dealing with a gazillion number of people and interests. He does not have a commercial arrangement with the gentleman. That's it. And it's explained it. He's explained it, and that should end the matter. So I don't know how his integrity gets solved by the mere acceptance of whether he knows the gentleman, Mr. Nabu, or he doesn't know the gentleman, Mr. Nabu. Of course, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the claims you are making that he's an agent provocateur of the police service, and in this case, a chief, spy for the IG, must be proven beyond reasonable doubt. And to that extent, I think that those things were not. We of course, it's still early days, but I doubt there's something of that nature. He didn't say he doesn't know him. He didn't say that. He said he has no commercial arrangement or interest to discuss with Mr. Nabu.
Ms. Adambona, the insistence of the IGP that his engagement will be done, should be made public, despite the chairman of the committee giving a legal background to why his hearing must be in camera. Do you suspect mistrust for the committee?
Oh, yes. Good evening, and good evening to my two co-panelists. Well, I was a bit worried when I heard the chairman consistently say the IGP's testimony should be given in camera, and you know Kwame Jain, the lawyer who represented the police, one of the lawyers who represented the police, he spoke about equity. And we know the respected Atachia is a lawyer in good standing. And so if you brought in witnesses who gave, some information out in the public gallery, and then they mention other people's name, and you say those people should come and answer to those questions in camera, then in law, what they call spirit of fair hearing, would that have been proper to do that? Because then you were not minded to ask them to give their testimony in camera. But this time around, you say you come and give your testimony in camera.
But the chairman gave you a background. The chairman gave a background. If it affects national security, if it affects safety of the nation, if it affects public morality, then the law allows that to happen in camera.
But who decides if it affects, who decides if it's of national security in nature?
But that's at the discretion of the committee.
No, Aisha, please let me. What I'm saying is that Atachia is a member of parliament, he's a lawyer. You have the chief constable in the person of the IGP. Yes, Atachia is the chairman chairing the committee. But be as it may, I'm sure that if the IGP is put to strict probe in public, he should be able to tell what will constitute a national security issue than probably the Honorable Atachia would be able to tell. And so as far as I'm concerned, I think that it was good that eventually it was decided, the committee decided that the IGP should give his testimony in public. Because for me, I think that the issues that were raised, and we all have been witnesses. We saw what happened when the 3-4 gentlemen came to give testimony, including Chief Bugrenabu. The three or the two of them significantly said, one of them, COP Alex Mensah, said he is not correct. I don't know what is a national security matter about you being told you are not correct. I will not also know what is about, has to do with national security. If they say you are the worst IGP and you have to come and respond in public, I will not know what to constitute a national security breach. If you are told that your friend is Bugrenabu, and you are told, we hear in public that you are an autocrat, and we hear that at POMAP meetings, some people are not invited. These things are not national security matters. This is not talking about where the police armory is. We are not talking about how many guns they have. We are not talking about who they are, who are their informants. They are not telling us how they catch their criminals. And so these are just matters that every member of the public would want to know. Your name has been mentioned. And today, fortunately, he was brought to, provide some information. And I see this, if you ask me, Aisha, it was more or less like, what do you call that, vetting of the IGP. Usually you are vetted. When they vet you with what we know, the experience, they vet you, you tell the general public, including those vetting you, what you are coming to do. But this was more to do with what has been done. And you have three gentlemen who have come, according to the IGP, if I have to quote him, speculating and telling lies. He said that I'm not the one saying that, he said it. And so mine is that, as far as I am concerned, these matters, he came to put them to rest. As for the other issues of administration, these guys were plotting. Let's not lose focus. These guys were despicably plotting to destabilize this country by saying that, make me the IGP and I will break a certain age. This is the substance. So all other matters don't matter, if you ask me, as to whether the IGP decides to go and catch criminals alone, whether the IGP, what the IGP does administratively. That is not what the Speaker asks the committee to do. The speaker was specific. Authenticate the voices, the tape. Tell us who are those people. Other matters relating to the tape, let me know, and recommendations. But you can see, excuse me to say, jumping up and down by the committee, sometimes uncertainty. You hear the Honorable Atachia saying that there's going to be cross-examination, inter-cross-examination, and some of us begin to ask, is that what the speaker asked them to do? Or they are setting their own exams and marking them? That is not what the speaker asked them to do. So for me, I think it was a perfect opportunity for, what do you call it? They asked, I think, the IGP, is it possible to break the 8 if you are, made the IGP? I will paraphrase. What he said was that as a professional, you are minded and making sure that you provide the enabling ground for voters to move out there and do what they have to do as voters. And they watch. And so as far as I'm concerned, we seem to be missing the plots. The plot is that these guys were plotting to remove an IGP so that when they make them an IGP, they will break their 8. But we are not discussing that. And I would want all of us to come back home and begin to ask Atachia, though they've admitted that these are our voices. Are you a party member? He says yes. Are you this? Are you that? Are you that? Have they broken their own police service regulation? Well, it's up to it's up to them to put an interpretation to it. But it is all clear. The police service, the CI 76 is written in English. We all can read and interpret it. And so as far as I'm concerned, the matters are clear. Let's separate administrative matters from the suspected criminal intentions that these guys exhibited. And arrogant, I was expecting them, that when they were called, you see, we all make mistakes, to apologize, profusely apologize and say that, you know what, we erred, so forgive us. We all make mistakes. It's lobbying that went wrong. You cannot lobby to destabilize the country. We did it in 10 days, we did it. But you can see arrogantly trying to push a certain posture, as if to say, if I say the man is not correct, if I say the man is the worst IGP, Ghanaians will begin to interrogate the things differently. These are the facts. And Aisha and viewers, mine is that what they intended to do in the tape is what I would want the Honorable Atachia. As far as I'm concerned, you know what? The committee's work is done. They have done what they have to do. I hear there's going to be an in-camera meeting tomorrow. Honorable Atachia said, we are bringing the National Security Minister to come and do what? Was the National Security Minister's name mentioned in the audio or in the video? His name was not mentioned. They said interrogate matters relating to the audio. You are calling National Security Minister. You are calling others to come and do what? Unless, of course, you see, we are paying citizens, we pay taxes. And whatever sittings they are having, it is our money. And so we should begin to question state institutions when they are asked to do this work, because then you can see them broadening the mandates. And what some of us know, the mandate has not changed. He said the other matters relating to the tape. He didn't say any other matter. He said any other matter relating to the tape.
Mr. Bona,
national security.
I'll come back to you and find out from you. The police is supposed to give information to the public. What will be your reaction then to allegations that the IGP has gagged the police, including the public relations officer? But I'll come to you. I'll come back to you for that. Let me go to Mr. Bombande. Mr. Bombande, there seem to be, from the word go, there seemed to be some mistrust. If you look at how the IGP has insisted that, look, I don't want to be interviewed in camera. I want the proceedings to be in public. There seemed to be some mistrust for the committee, probably going in to say one thing and then probably the committee saying you said something else. So I want it to be in public. That should be worrying, because if already there's mistrust for the committee, what then happens to their recommendations?
I would not want to, but okay, before I make my comment, I want to appreciate my co-panelists. I want to appreciate Franklin for coming out clearly to also indicate that there were things we learned today that we would not have been able to learn if the IGP did not come to the committee. And I think my good friend Bona has summarized for me what is the essential. But to your question about mistrust and suspicions, this is my response. What I know is that when a process is well done, the outcomes are always good. So far, I've admired the bipartisan cooperation of the committee and the leadership of the committee in the chair and the vice chair. I have seen an effort to put Ghana's interests above everything else and to interrogate these matters in a way that at the end of the day, Ghana is the beneficiary. Now, in terms of the question that you have put forward, it would appear to me that that will be resolved once they begin to engage with the understanding that, and I think one of my co-panelists suggested it, that where the IGP sees a certain nuance that might not be in the public interest per se, he himself, based on, keep in mind, this is an intellectual. He is a gift to us in the sense that he's bringing knowledge into his position that makes him to excel. I think he would now be able to sort that out. But let me say this. We should not be surprised that the IGP wants to be public throughout in his hearings. Why? Because he wants to be able to clarify as much as possible that there is nothing for me to hide under the table, and I don't want to be meeting behind the scenes in camera, and people could then interpret that to mean I went to the committee privately and started to say things that I could not have said publicly. Keep in mind that injury and harm has been done against this gentleman, and Adam Bona made that very clear. For him to have the fortitude and the spirit of grandeur to stand up and rise above that and want to be seen in a very transparent manner to respond to all the issues is something that I think we should look at it for its positive and advantage rather than be worried whether or not there is a suspicion between the committee and the IGP. I think that will be sorted out in the process, and the outcome will be a good outcome.
What's the likely impact of this whole process on the Ghana Police Service? I mean, and how should the IGP go about mending the broken bottle, I mean, after the dust has settled?
Now, this is a very good question, and I'm sure my two colleagues would even give a better response, but this is the way I see it. You see, after January 2019, after the Ayawa Sowes Wogon parliamentary by-election, that turned violent and really reduced our democratic stature in Africa, the Emile Short Commission was formed under the directive of the executive. If we had a lot of time, we could have evaluated, and Franklin likes to do good evaluation. What was implemented as the outcomes and recommendations of the Emile Short Commission, and how has that improved the Ghana Police Service? This time around, we have a parliamentary-led inquiry. I think it is well placed because it is good that the representation of the people in Parliament concerned about the welfare of the Ghana Police Service that has the mandate to protect you and I and all of us in terms of our safety, our well-being. It is important that the people's representative lead an inquiry and insist that they have good outcomes in terms of recommendations, but more than that, they insist that those recommendations are implemented. So that we'll be able to see at the end of the day, what do we gain when we want to improve on our institutions and mechanisms, and we only form commissions of inquiry, and when they finish their work, nothing happens. So for me, if you ask me what is my expectation, I'm expecting a good outcome, but beyond that, I'm expecting concrete recommendations, but beyond that further, I'm expecting that Parliament would insist that they're implemented.
Mr. Franklin Kojo, I mean, how should the police go about mending the cracks? I mean, obviously, listening to the IGP and all the other sides, there are cracks in the police service. How should this be dealt with going forward after the committee has done its job?
Well, I do not wish to actually make the point, or probably back the point that there were no cracks in the police service, either to the occurrence of this particular problem. And by that I mean there are obviously divisions in every establishment. I mean, this is just a very brazen way of showing it, and for which we are discussing right now. So for me, I think that there will still be divisions. People may still be harboring all kinds of thoughts. But if the system that permeates the police service in itself works, right? If all the channels for people to air their grievances are still intact, if all the opportunities are given to people who believe that they may have been shortchanged or otherwise are made to be seen to be working, then we probably would have seen a minimization of these rather public, should I say, display of what you call a broken system. I'm not entirely sure the police service is broken to that extent. What has happened rather is that, yes, those blurred lines have been restored as far as the position of the IGP goes, as far as the integrity of the IGP goes. But what is also not in doubt is that as long as the politician, in this case the presidency, still looms large when it comes to the appointment of the police IGP, there will still be people who would harbor many thoughts, right? So maybe, yes, one of the things I'm expecting to see is that the processes that Mr. Dampare had put in place, however challenging some of them may be, because you just alluded to the fact that now police communication is centralized. Why not? Shouldn't it be the case? Should every policeman wake up and be asked questions on national TV or radio and be talking without cross-checking with his superiors? It must be centralized. And that's the way a disciplined force actually behaves. So, but I'm expecting that some of the processes the gentleman has insisted, for which he explained most of them today, will live beyond him, really. And that is where, for me, the test really begins to tell whether the reforms he's instituted would outlast him. When I see that happening, then I'll say that, well, we have earned our keep as the police service has actually earned its keep or its mandate as the protector of our persons and liberties. Otherwise, in spite of the constitutional strictures that Mr. Bombade and Dr. Adam talks about, or will talk about, there's still that, the persona of the occupant, the occupants of the seat, in this case the position, actually also defines a whole lot. And so, if some of the things that he's likely to leave would permeate the police service long after he's gone, well, then I would have said that the what's it called? There's a good future for the police service.
When I return from this break, we'll be discussing why information should be scanty from the police service. I mean, the law that establishes the police service, the Constitution, says that the police should be able to give information to the public, especially those that are necessary to keep the nation safe. Why are we not getting enough information from the police? And if COP Alex says that the police have been gagged, I mean, could that be true? Because we are not getting a lot of information. When I return from the break, I'll be gauging your modes on that. Please stay.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
So I came home earlier than I normally would that fateful Monday after work. And to my surprise, I saw my husband and my mother having sex in our living room.
I had always suspected my wife. I felt she had something doing with my little brother. And I walked into a room one day, and there they were, making out. And this is my blood brother.
My husband, who is a banker, will not have sex with me because I denied him my earnings. Is he gay? I've been wondering.
What is your story? What secret is eating you up? Why are you having continual sleepless nights? Do you need help? Share your story on our powerful new series where real people share their deepest secrets on Prime Morning beginning this September. Drop your stories on our WhatsApp number 055 157 5757. Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved, and every problem has a solution.
Tee up someone in red, and it goes to one.
Do not say! That's who goal is for. I got 5 Champions League. You want to know? I be the real goal, chairman. I'm the real goal. The left magician.
Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigeria Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
No, that shift. You two they lie, eh? Now the same stew when they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey! You are lying. Ghana Jollof.
And you did here, forget everybody. Yeah, my guy. Put your papa in the jar. Put some respect on the goat. On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tama. Every year, we dey give to you back. We are talking about BET. I want some Yaji face. Except be the goat, huh? My guy, he be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 and recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA.
Welcome back to PM Express. We're discussing the responses that we had from the IGP today when he met the committee probing the alleged tape that some police officers wanted to oust the IGP and the claims made by those witnesses. Let me bring in you, Mr. Adam Bonner. And before I went for the break, we spoke about why information flow should not be smooth from the police service, given that it is a mandatory requirement of the law. I mean, what's your reaction that the IGP has gagged the police, even the public relations department?
Aisha, you didn't let me, talk about the recommendations. I have two. The first
Go
one,
ahead.
if you ask me, would be, what's the name? You'll see all these cracks we are talking about. It's everywhere. If you go to the Jubilee House, we've heard about cracks. You go to the judiciary, we've heard about cracks. NCC, everywhere. There are cracks, AC. Even Parliament, we've heard about cracks among the political parties. The only thing we need to do if we want to sustain the Ghana police so that the service with integrity becomes something that we can practicalize is to ensure that these service commanders, these people have what we call tenure of office. Because then from the look of things, the moment one of them is appointed an IG, it's like a man or a woman who is not married. Everyone is just looking to catch the eye of that person, and so then the dirty things begin to take place. And I think if there is one of the recommendations I would say should be to ensure that we have a tenure of office can be done, can be put in place. The other thing has to do with we need a police complaints commission. We don't have one. Remember, the Emil Short Commission recommended that we should have a police complaints commission. Once we have a complaints commission, it makes it possible for even police, vis-a-vis what you call it, the police, as well as civilians who feel that there is something they need to talk about and about the police that probably they are not being given, no one is listening to them, can go to and maybe complain. But the white paper for the commission, when it came out, whitewashed it and said no, it wasn't something. So we can relook at that. So these are the two. But with regards to the garden, just like my other co-panelists have said, the truth is that in the past, there's something happened in Kumasi or somewhere, one of the regions, and a statement was issued. Then within an hour, they pulled it down and another statement came. I think we have 3 different statements in quick successions. So you have someone in the eastern, the western, the northern, the upper west, you have different officers speaking differently from probably what we know. And usually, you see these days, this day and age of technology, the people are more discerning, they know what is going on more than even the officers on the ground. So if you write something that is not real, they have the things that has happened on video and in pictures. Sometimes moving, they have them. And so when you come up with a press release that is not true, or a statement, they will bring it to you. You need to pull yours down. And so for me, I think that it is important we look at that aspect of communication. But let's not begin to say that this is how we want them to communicate. Let's see how we can reach a compromise. But in any case, yes, this could be one of the recommendations. But I still insist that our Chance Committee should not deviate from their mandate. Their mandate is there are about 4 of them, the terms of reference, they should take them, and then we are done. Left to me alone. Today should have ended the sitting. We are tired of this whole, evil plot to destabilize this country by removing the IGP, Aisha.
Mr. Bombande, briefly, we're running out of time. With regards to the flow of information from the police, I understand that the police wants to make sure that there's no misinformation, but there should be a balance.
Yeah, I think I will resonate with my co-panelists by saying that the flow of information can only be effective when it is also well coordinated. When it is not well coordinated, it can reverse the intentions for which the flow was intended. And so you want a flow that is coordinated, and that is the balance. And to that extent, therefore, you want the coordination to be effected within the, if you call it, premises of headquarters that has verified and re-verified, so that we don't have a statement that is constantly pulled down or up, as Adam Bona has indicated. And since you are saying the time has run out, one concrete additional proposal, and I'll wrap up. And what is that one concrete proposal? I think one of my co-panelists alluded to it. We after the current IGP, we need to keep the standard. So how about a good search that arrives at 3 senior officers, the COPs, that the president, who is the authority, I mean, the one who appoints,